The Heat, they have dominated in Game 3s all postseason. You can see the countdown is on, winning by a combined total of 67 points in the first 3 rounds. That's the second best scoring differential in Game 3s before the finals, behind the Lakers in 2001. And then the Nuggets, meanwhile, they are looking to avoid trailing in a series for the first time this postseason. Only 3 teams in the last 20 seasons have never trailed in a series. The 2017 Warriors, who only dropped 1 game the entire playoffs, and then Perk, your 08 Celtics as well. And in finals history, the Game 3 winners of series that are tied at 1-1, they have gone on to win the series 80% of the time. Not bad, but that trend, it is not held lately for the last 7 Game 3 winners in this situation. They have gone on to lose those series, and that does include last year's Celtics. So Brian Windhorst, our senior writer, bringing you back into the conversation now, because you've been covering this entire series. What do you think the key will be to tonight's game in your eyes, my friend?
Yeah, Malika, I know everybody's been focused so much on the way the Heat have been defending Nikola Jokic, and obviously that is a key part of their game plan, but I thought it was a different set of defensive adjustments that really made a difference in Game 2, and I'm really looking at coming into Game 3, and that is what the Heat did to Jamal Murray. By putting Kevin Love into the starting lineup, that was one move. The second move was putting Jimmy Butler almost solely defending Murray, and Murray's touches plummeted. He got the ball 35 less times in Game 2 compared to Game 1. He took 8 fewer shots, scored 8 fewer points. And Malika, that high-powered two-man game that we've come to expect to be almost unstoppable between Jokic and Murray was dimmed. And that was one of the reasons why the Nuggets weren't as effective overall, why Jokic's assists were going down. So look for the Nuggets tonight to find some wrinkles to get Butler off of Jamal Murray and get that two-man game revved back up like they are when they're at their best.
Well, you know, it's 2 things I've been waiting on.
What you been waiting on?
I've been waiting on Game 3, and it's another thing I'm looking forward to.
What?
The Pelicans Media Day to start of next season.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Get to where you gotta go, bro.
Well, listen, here's the thing. I'm looking at Jimmy Butler tonight. He has not played great. I don't even think he's had a really good performance on the offensive end in this series, and it's tied 1-1. I'm looking for Jimmy to be playoff Jimmy. I know he keeps saying it's not a real thing, but damn it is. And I'm looking forward to watching him tonight. I believe he's going to set the tone, and the rest will follow. I think we will see the best version of Jimmy Butler offensively. He will have one of those iconic nights tonight, and the Heat will win Game 3.
For me, I'm trying to figure out which person is going to have a bigger impact. Is it MPJ or is it Caleb Martin? When I look at the numbers, Michael Porter Jr. is 3 for 17 from 3, 7 for 24 from the field. He is one of the most talented scorers, one of the most talented, gifted scorers that we've seen with his size and shooting ability. He's got to shoot a better percentage. And when Mike Malone was talking about, hey, some of our offensive guys are allowing that to affect their defense, I'm not saying he was talking to Michael Porter Jr., but there's a lot of clips, and he's not shooting the ball particularly well. But Caleb Martin on the other side, he's just 2 for 10 in this series. So for me, I'm like, which one of these guys is going to step up and be that extra person for their team? Because both of those guys are going to be pivotal in this game.
Well, Richard, it's not
Perk,
just...
is there anything else you're keeping your eye on?
Yeah, it's a lot of things I'm keeping my eye on, Malika. It's not just, the scoring, and it's nothing to do with Zion Williamson's trending. I spied something else from Game 2.
You is all...
I'm Kendrick Perkins, better known as Big Perk, and nothing gets past me. Freeze! Just when you thought it did get past me, there I am. I spy a problem. I spy it all. Carry the hell on. Yep, that's right. I see it all. But guess what? I wasn't the only person that spied something in Game 2. Take a listen to this.
I showed 17 clips this morning, and they were just, every clip was a discipline clip, if you will, where a discipline, whether it was game plan, whether it's personnel, whether it's defending without fouling, whatever it may be, 17 clips added up to over 40 points in Game 2. And that to me is staggering. So what we can do better is just be a lot more disciplined in terms of the game plan, who I'm guarding, and most of that stems from communication.
Well, look, I always know this is my moment, but I talk about losing myself in the team, and I bring it on RJ. Sprees! Here we go. First play of the game, look at this miscommunication. Wide open 3 for Max Strus. Come on, RJ, I'm inviting you in.
He was 0 for 10 at that point. All right, when do I yell freeze?
Right.
Freeze!
There it goes.
Okay,
yeah.
now watch this. This is a double step up. This is a double steps up. So you have 2 players. Miscommunication. Kevin Love gets a wide open 3. This was big. Denver was up 6 at that point.
Here we go right here. Check this out. Look at Bam. He's signaling to go run a double. Freeze! Look at the spacing. Duncan Robinson over here, single side corner. Great screen by Bam. Look at Kyle Lowry. Bam rolls to the basket. Michael Porter Jr. cannot help because he would have a wide open 3 in the corner. Now roll my graphic. Let me show you something, RJ. Here we go. Here we go. Look at this. 59% of 3-point field goal attempts. Right? That's how many open ones they have. Come on, help me out.
I got you.
Open on 40% of 3-point field goal attempts in the first 3 rounds. Now, look, I know a lot of it has to do with effort and defensive, mindset and being aware, but also accountability on the coaches.
You know what?
God.
What?
Well, no, I know that Perk always wears his little aviator sunglasses when he does his iSpy, but that didn't feel very Miami to me. So I appreciated your breakdown, Perk, but I know you all aren't here yet. You'll be here for Game 6 if and when there is one, but I wanted to make sure that we brought a little bit of Miami to you for the show.
What'd you bring
us?
us?
These are our producer Hillary guy's glasses.
What?
Oh, just you wait. Oh,
Is
just you wait.
Is that groceries?
What? You know that ain't in your head.
Yeah, it is.
Are these Cubanos? Oh, my God.
Is it what?
Well, Richard, we knew you needed cigars. You asked for them earlier, so had to deliver. You had many memorable moments in Game 2, but one of them, you're standing in the corner, wide open for 3. Kevin Love doesn't quite see you, and then you share this embrace afterward. Good hug? I mean, can you just walk us through that?
It was a great hug. Obviously, I was posted up in the corner ready to shoot. He didn't think he had me open. Felt like he missed me, so we just embraced and talked about the play after it.
It was certainly a memorable moment. You were a two-way player at one point. You have worked, scrapped to get to where you are now. How does that help keep everything in perspective now that you're starting in the NBA Finals and have been since essentially this winter?
Yeah, I mean, it's useful because I don't want to forget where I came from. I want to keep that chip on my shoulder, and it's important to remember those moments.
Let's go back 2 years. Your team, Nigeria, beats Team USA that Bam Adebayo was starting for. How long did those bragging rights last?
They lasted about as long as till he had the gold medal. And then it was pretty much over with, and any chance he gets to put that medal in my face, he makes sure I remember.
But in all seriousness, though, at that point you'd been in the league about 2 years, right? But it was a little bit of a coming out party for you in a certain way. What was it about that moment maybe that gave you confidence or put you on the map differently?
I think there wasn't much in the sport world going on for like 48 hours after it. So it was like the only thing it was being discussed on ESPN, on TV, was how Team USA lost to Nigeria of all teams. So it was a great moment. I know the country loved it, and, we had some fun celebrating that, but, it was just an exhibition game.
Let's fast forward now, back at Game 2, 23 points. I mentioned a series of highlights, but another one is you hit a corner 3 after some blown coverage from the Denver Nuggets, and you had a little going on. What can we expect here going into Game 3?
It's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. They're a well-coached team. They're going to come out and play hard, and we need to match and raise our intensity as well.
Is that the best facial expression you got?
Maybe. My passion was talking in that moment, so we'll see what happens next.
Gabe, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Butler has led the way most nights, but the Heat, they have had 5 different players lead the team in scoring this postseason. That includes Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson. However, no player besides Butler has reached the 30-point mark. So bringing in my friends, you see the numbers. Miami prides themselves, right, on their depth. And in fact, anyone on any given night, they feel that they can step up. So Richard, who do you think needs to step up the most for Miami tonight if they're going to take this pivotal Game 3?
Well, I teased it a little bit, and it's Caleb Martin. When you look at the Eastern Conference Finals, there was a lot of people that believed that he could have been the conference MVP, and he's already struggled so much in this first 2 games. He just hasn't had the same rhythm. You want to give credit to Denver. give credit to Denver defense. That shot right there was big. Hopefully that's something that can get his confidence going a little bit further. His defense has been solid, but where he really stood out is his offensive performance. It wasn't up and down. It was very consistent. These are probably the 2 worst games that he's had back-to-back, since probably like the middle of the first round. So for me, when I look at it, if Caleb Martin can step up, that's going to be huge for the Heat, especially at home.
Yeah, I'm doubling down on Caleb Martin, and I think he will step up. Role players play better at home, although I don't want him to think that's any shade his direction because he's been playing above role player standards. But when I think about what he's been doing, he's been struggling. You look at first game, he had Michael Porter Jr., the size, the length, the athleticism. He really couldn't get to the basket. Him coming back in off the bench now that Kevin Love is starting, I believe he will flourish well because Denver also goes small. So I'm looking for him to have a bounce-back night. We have seen how he's able to perform, and I believe he will do well.
Plus, you have to imagine, right? These guys haven't played at home here in Miami in about 10 days since the Eastern Conference Finals. Brian, who do you have your eye on?
Yeah, so I know he's going to be in a bucket hat probably tonight, so not necessarily about tonight, but let's keep an eye on what happens with Tyler Hero over the rest of this week. He has been doing contact for more than a week now. He is close to returning, and this is a guy who could be an X factor in this series because he is a 20-point-per-game scorer. He was the Heat's #1 guy in three-point makes and three-point attempts per game in the regular season. We know that that is important for their game. The Heat bought themselves some time with Hero by winning Game 2, Malika. They didn't feel the pressure to bring him back tonight and mess with the chemistry that they've got going, but he is getting close, and that could be his inclusion in the series could be the kind of difference maker coming in that we almost never see in the playoffs.
Yeah, we could expect to see him back literally any game now, and tonight we'll see him in a bucket hat. But I truly mean this, Richard.
Yeah.
You look fantastic.
Oh,
I mean, truly. I mean it. You do.
I feel fantastic. That's the thing, right? Like, come on. I dare
Look
somebody
good,
to tell
good.
me that I don't look
Look good,
outstanding.
feel good.
You're lying if you think that.
Here's the thing. We need to know whether or not Nikola Jokic is feeling outstanding, because on the flip side, we know that he's going to put up numbers, right? But as we saw, he doesn't necessarily score 40 and then Denver wins. So, Brian, who do you think Denver needs to step up big tonight?
Yeah, so Michael Porter Jr., one of the things that, not just the shooting, Richard mentioned a second ago, he's 3 of 17 on threes. One of the things that Michael Porter Jr. has been amazed by in the first couple of games in this series is how the Heat have thrown a curveball at him on pick and rolls. When the Nuggets call out their pick and roll coverage, the Heat hear what the Nuggets are calling and then change the style of pick and roll that they're doing it. That is a level of preparation and intelligence that the Nuggets are not used to seeing, and it has flummoxed Michael Porter and some of the perimeter defense that the Nuggets have played, and it's led to getting shooters open and lost. So Michael Porter has got to be much more focused, and now that he's aware of that trickeration that the Heat are using, look for them to be more prepared and have better perimeter coverage, because he got lost a few times in Game 2, Malika, and it ended up big three-pointers for the Heat when that happened.
No, I completely agree. And it's where the Michael Porter Jr. thing, for me, I think the biggest part is the overall intensity for the Denver Nuggets. I have Michael Porter Jr. up there, but if you had to see which players need to step up, it's a collective group. Their entire intensity, 1 through 15, has to raise. That's for me. So we can point out Michael Porter Jr. and say that, but one of the things that he struggled with, in my opinion, is the intensity that is going on. And so when you say collectively, when Mike Malone was talking about, hey, look, like we had 40 breakdown or X amount, 17 breakdowns that led to 40 points. That means that collectively as a group, their intensity wasn't the level that it's supposed to be. So I think the entire group has to step up, because I don't want to point out one individual.
Yeah.
Well, I do. And we got to ask ourselves, why did the Heat change their starting lineup? It was because of the dominance of Aaron Gordon. Mm-hmm. And when Aaron Gordon scores 15 or more points in the postseason, the Denver Nuggets are undefeated. I don't believe he's going to have those cuts and lobs at the basket, but it's going to come down to his ability of making shots. Again, I talked about it last night. I expect the Heat to be, helping off of him. He's going to have to make them respect him and knock down those corner threes. And he's also going to have to do a great job at the free throw line, because if he do happen to get to the paint, I would expect those playoff fouls to happen. So I'm looking at Aaron Gordon for the Denver Nuggets as far as the personnel or the person to step up.
Aaron Gordon so dominant in game one. And then when you look at Michael Porter Jr., 3 of 15 on threes in his last 2 games, that's not exactly what the Nuggets need. And it's what we talked about yesterday, Rich. It's needing to see that rhythm on offense so he can feel confident defensively, because that is what Michael Malone said this team was lacking.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.